everybody. I'm Caitlin. Welcome back to the Fill Your Cup podcast. It's been a minute, and I'm really excited to be back. Today, I have on one of my very favorite people in the world, my best friend, Alli Stewart, and we're really just going to go into friendships and what it means to find your circle and find people in your life that will support you no matter what. But before we do that, Alli will introduce herself, I guess, and give you a little spiel of who she is.
Hi, my name's Alli. I'm 17. I basically grown up with Caitlin. We've grown up together, and our friendship has grown so much these past couple of years, and I really do consider her like my very best friend. So I'm very thankful for her, and I'm excited to be here today.
It's gonna be fun. We were talking earlier at home. We literally came straight from practice.
Literally.
We were telling the other girls on our team, we're like, honestly, we have no clue what's gonna come out of our mouths because you never know what you're gonna get with us. But I'll start it off how I start off everyone's, and it's just kind of that base question of where do you find fulfillment and joy in life, and how did you go about finding that?
Honestly, I mean, it's been a journey kind of trying to find what like really fulfills me. And honestly, like throughout like the seasons of life I've been through recently, like my joy really does come from like Jesus Christ, like knowing that no matter what happens, like my peace and my sustainment is like from him, and that like no matter what happens, that he's always going to be there no matter what. And so that's been a very big, like, I don't know the word, or like relief, knowing that like no matter what happens, like
it's just like a standstill, like no matter what,
yeah,
you know, he's there. I feel like that's helped so much, especially in like the season that we're in with like so many changes happening.
Yeah.
We know that like there's a constant, and I feel like if anyone doesn't know, we're both seniors, so, and we're coming on to Thanksgiving's next week, Christmas is soon, so we're kind of in that mid-season of visiting colleges and applying, and there's so much change happening, and I feel like no matter what, like I know that there's a constant, and I know that there's a plan for it all, and like that's just like
so good.
Because if we didn't have that, I'd run around with like a chicken with its head cut off.
So true.
But I guess, okay, I want you to go a little bit into like your story and like how you are the person you are today, because as someone who's watched you go from like we were just little girls and, you know, living the life that we did, and you've gone through a lot of hard times in your life, you've experienced a lot of loss, and I think especially like the transition of like who you were whenever you started high school to who you are now, like if you want to talk about all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot, but you can kind of go into whatever you want.
For sure. So let's like start freshman year. Like I was a completely different person than I am now, and like Caitlin can for sure agree with that. Like I wasn't like afraid to be myself, but I was at the same time. Like I had just started a new dance team, and I had just had a lot of crazy things happen with an old
Situation, the old dance
that I
situation.
won't get into, and I was really just like trying to find like what made me happy again, because honestly, like throughout my entire life, I have found my identity as a dancer and like nothing else. And so when everything was kind of going crazy and that was happening, like I really didn't know who I was. And so going out through high school, like one of my biggest prayers is like I just want to be able to show people like who I really am. And I feel like freshman and sophomore year, like as I started dancing more and new opportunities came about, like I started to find myself more. But I think like up until like freshman, end of sophomore year, like I was kind of living in La La Land. Like I was appreciative of like my life, but I wasn't really like living in the moment.
Yeah.
And like living every second to the fullest. And so I think it was January of 2021 that was when my granddad passed. And I think that was like a shock to me. Like that's where I kind of just snapped out of life, like the motions of everything, and really like realized like, oh my gosh, like nothing is like what you think it's gonna be, and someone can just like go no, like. And so I think that was a big like reality check for me, to really hold on to the people that I love and care for, and really just check up on them, like no matter what. Like I hate texting, like Caitlin knows that. I'm so bad about it, but just being able to reach out and like just like let people know that I'm there for them. And I feel like after that, that was when life started getting a little bit more real. And I mean, since I've danced all my life, like I have done a lot of things that have not been the best for my body. And when was it that I found out about my hips?
I think it was the end of sophomore year. I feel like we were in that summer,
Yes.
and that was whenever I remember talking to like my mom and then hearing from Jenna and being like, Alli's in so much pain. Like, what is that going to look like for her? So I guess maybe kind of going into junior year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was like starting of junior year. And like I said, I love dance. Like that is my life. But I was experiencing so much pain. Like, and I have a really high pain tolerance. Like us dancers, like we have such high pain tolerances, and it's not even funny. Like the fact that I danced through all of that. And so I finally was like, enough is enough. Like my pom coach was really great about it. She'd been through like the same situation. And so went to the doctor, found out I had a hip impingement, and then my labrum was torn in my hip. So he was pretty much like, you need surgery. Like, and at that point, like, it, yet again, like, life became
kind of like rocked your world.
Exactly. Like,
a lot of ours.
For sure. Like, what I pretty much, since I was 3, have had dance at least twice a week. And so not having that, so I had surgery, and then I was just really in a super bad mindset. Like I really didn't know who I was, like, because dance has always been like such a gift and how I get my emotions out, because I don't love to like express my emotions as much. So like dance was such a big part of that. And so having that taken away from me, especially for just like a short season, like was definitely crazy. But through that, in my second surgery, only like 6 months later, after the second surgery, that was really where I established my relationship with Christ and found out that like I need to take myself out of that mindset of like I'm just a dancer, but like I'm Alli and I'm loved and I'm called to God's purpose, like no matter what happens. And that was just throughout the summer. I have been so grateful, and like Caitlin has always been a person I can be able to like talk to about that and just encourage me. Like, and I feel like you always understand what I'm going through. Like, you're never the person who's like, oh, well, it could be worse. Like, you justify what I'm feeling. And so I'd say like up until like, I mean, yeah, my hips still don't feel great, but like, I'm thankful for the time I've gotten to get back into it, which I know a lot of people haven't been able to do that. And so I feel like throughout all of this and like coming in my senior year, like I've had such good friendships built throughout the season, and I've had great leaders and mentors like brought about throughout all of this. So I'm just extremely thankful for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of rambling on.
No, yeah. I think it's just been such a process. Like, honestly, like I haven't even considered this. Maybe you have. But just like hearing it all through again, I feel like it was I'm always the person, because whenever I was younger, I was like, oh yes, like everything happens for a reason. But then you experience life and you really get into those deep thoughts of like, how can this happen for a reason?
Yeah.
Like it's like, how can the Lord let these things happen in the world and all these things? But what I really came to terms with was God can bring purpose and like something out of everything that happens. And I feel like he really put you in a place of like waiting, and like he had to keep you still for you to be able to like find him again.
Yeah.
And I love that like he really took what you loved most in life, because it wasn't even just like what you did for physical aspects of your body, but like you're kind of saying, like it was for your emotions too. Like even your whole family's always known. If like there's something off with you, they'll come to me and they're like, hey, like what's going on with Alli? And I'll be like, I'll have a talk with you. But I feel like that was kind of a process of the Lord showing you that like he's above, he gave you dance.
Yeah.
And I feel like we experience that in really different ways, because I feel like the Lord has had to do that to me a lot in the season of just, I think it for me fell a lot on validation from others and like just always wanting to be a person for someone else. And the Lord kind of had to pull me out of an entire school and make me sit with myself to realize that all I need is him. So I'm really proud of you. And I'm just super proud of like how you've grown. And I can look back and I remember us being like freshmen. We were in different like school situations. But I remember then seeing you, like you were having such a great time, but I remember just having this feeling that like you weren't fully doing what you wanted to do or being who you like truly wanted to be. But then after that process, like I feel like especially after sophomore year, you really started to come into like, you're like it's just me, and you don't stand for other people's BS. Honestly, like that's what I was practicing with my interview coach the other day, and she was asking me what I value most in like friendships, and I told her I value loyalty most because that's what you've taught me. And like people come and go, but to be loyal and to be trustworthy while still holding your own is like, I feel like something I look for in all relationships now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
That's so good.
I kind of want to go into growing. Okay, I put it like the question thing up, so I like put it up on my questions, like basically what you guys wanted to hear from us. And I got a lot of stuff, but I'm gonna do a few. One of them was God been doing in your life or teaching recently, and I think we kind of like covered that.
Yeah.
But another one is navigating college decisions and how you're kind of like walking through that. If you want to go first, and then I can.
This I'm still sort of walking through. I've been to, I think, 3 schools, and I have honestly liked them all, like the same amount. Like there are different aspects to everything, like smaller schools, bigger schools, like different states, how different they are. Like one's in Nebraska, one's Kansas, one is Arizona, and so they're very different. And I'm also still like trying to decide like what's best for me and what's best for my body.
Yeah.
If I want to continue dancing or if I just want to like focus on my education. And I really, at the moment, want to major in nursing. And I know that takes up a lot of time. So like just figuring out kind of what I'm supposed to do and just still, because honestly, like people are like, when I walked onto campus, like I knew this was where I want to go. Like I know that was a lot like for you. Like you just felt like, you just like felt
You like felt,
but like it's not like I didn't feel like that anywhere, but it's like I felt like that everywhere.
yeah. No,
so,
yeah.
Just trying to decide, and like the pressures of like everyone, like just saying like, hey, you got to decide, but like honestly I have forever. And so
Yeah.
just still,
I think that's what I really wanted. So, okay, if people learn this as it goes on, we're best friends, but we have very different personalities.
yeah.
And I guess that kind of makes sense. But we handle things very differently. So I really enjoy this because you could get really different like point of views on like college situation. And I mean, I feel like for you, like I'm confident for you, we still have almost a year until until next August, until we actually have to be in a school.
Yeah.
And I think that God has put so many like amazing options in your place, and it's just gonna come down to like I think what you truly want for yourself and not what like the environment is or who will be there. Because I think whenever I decided it without like the influence of everyone else. I just found out like what I wanted to get a degree in and then the next step from there.
For sure.
So I definitely think for anyone who's feeling that process, I know people like they decided a college for literally all of senior year, and then a month before they left, they switched and moved across the country.
Yeah.
And they're thriving. So you could have, there's like definitely like that situation. And then for me, I felt like it was almost in the summer. I didn't go through like an identity crisis, but I had to like refigure out what was important to me. And I wasn't sure because I'd gone through like junior year was ending. I'd gone through a breakup. I had a huge competition in June, and then then we're getting prepped for senior year, and then I wanted to just be able to like enjoy a little bit of summer and all these things. And I remember talking to my therapist and being like, I used to be the person that would like know like what I want to do, where I want to do it, because I mean the plan was for me to dance too, and I think that recently I've been grieving a lot. I've been grieving what little me wanted, and I have great friends who are planning on moving away after high school and going to work in the professional dance industry and all these things, and I've never been so genuinely overjoyed for them. But at the same time, I had to realize, like, was I feeling emotional because like that's what I still want to do, or because that's what like little me wanted so badly? And so I had just been like wrestling with all those thoughts in the summer and all these things, and being like, I don't know where I'm gonna go. Will I stay in state? Will I, move away? And then honestly, like I went through a bunch of spiritual stuff in the summer. I know like a bunch of that, and I really just like laid my anxiety down to the Lord, and I was like, you are like the King of Peace. Like whatever you decide is going to be right for me. And then someone brought up a degree at a school that is very close, and it's the University of Oklahoma, OU. And they said, well, Caitlin, you're really great at connecting with others and being involved in media and really like taking a stand for what you believe in, like all those things. And they were saying, they were like, OU has a program that's really good for that. And so I was like, oh, like I've literally never considered it, but like it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And I went and toured, and I fell in love, and then I was like definitely gonna go, and then my parents were like, slow down, we need to figure this out, like do you need to consider other colleges and all these things. And so I definitely think that there's all that to say I mean, who knows? Maybe the Lord still has another plan, and he's like, actually, no. But so far, I've decided on a college, but I think that there's just so many different ways you can go, and they're all right. Whatever you decide is, I don't think, going to be a wrong decision.
No.
Because if you end up going somewhere and hating it, you can do something else.
That's true.
Okay, let's see if there's another. Okay, this is kind of a different direction, but someone asked how you navigate being like a girl in today's world. And I feel like that's gonna be an interesting answer for us because we try really hard to be in the world, but not of it.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah, you can
go. I think for me, and I know I have like a different aspect and like look on this as like a lot of other people. But for me, like even since I've grown up, like yes, I care about like affirmation and like saying like, oh yeah, you're pretty, like so whatever. But honestly, like only like not finding validation in like worldly things. Because like really, and one of my friends' mom says this, like what other people say about you like doesn't matter, like that's not your business. And which is,
I was trying to figure out who it was.
Which is so true. Like I really could not care less like what other people think about me as long as like I'm content and what I'm doing. And like obviously like my close friends, like if I'm going through something like, hey, let's talk about this,
Yeah.
like let's take a step back. But like honestly, just like being you and finding out who that is so important, and establishing that and not changing who you are for like different groups of people. And I know that's so much easier said than done, but like I think it was a church sermon that we had on Wednesday night. It was a few weeks ago or months. I'm really good.
It all molds together.
And it was like, look, you should look at life as like a pizza box, and like every slice is like your different friend group in different area of your life. And like you should be the same person for every stage of life that you're in. Like you don't want to be changing yourself for like others and who are like who you're around. Like it's so important to just be like authentically yourself. And I think you'll find, like for me, like I mean I've always obviously grown in this like freshman, sophomore year, like when I was kind of trying to change who I was for other people, like I just felt gross.
Yeah.
Like I felt
amen to
like
that.
I just feel gross like trying to like dim like my light, like who I am as a person. And so just like not seeking validation from anyone else, but only seeking validation from the one who matters. And so that's been something that I've obviously had to work on, but like just really not caring what other people think is just, it's very important for me.
Oh yeah, I fully agree. Like, honestly, that's what I would go to, because again, freshman and sophomore year for me, I don't know how the Lord really planned that, because we really went through the same transitions at the same time.
For sure.
And Lord knows we're only at the beginning, and if we did this a year from now, we'd have completely different answers.
That's very true.
But for me, like freshman, sophomore year, I was just, everything basically in my life changed. And I didn't really have a choice. And so I was like, I'm going to try to make the best of it and make the best of a new environment and a new situation. And whenever I entered that, I was just wanting so badly to be it wasn't even like, I wasn't even the person like, I didn't really care about being like popular, but I wanted to find like these just amazing friendships. Like I was just searching for like great, incredible friendships, and like I just wanted to be, it was like to be known. Like it kind of, this probably makes sense why we're friends, because I've always been the friend that's like, I want the confirmation. I want to know that like I'm needed and stuff like that. So I was really going through that. And whenever I left after sophomore year, which I've kind of like touched on in past episodes, I really had to spend time with like being alone and being content with myself. Like I had you, and I knew I had a big support system that I wasn't like in touch with, but for like me, I knew that I had you, and I had a couple other people that like I would keep updated. But other than that, I was just kind of like in my own space. And I really just had to figure out like, am I going to change myself for all these people? And now I look back, and like from then to now, like I'm just so much more of a developed person. And even our friend Mia was telling me the other day, we were in the car together, and she was like, you're beautiful. And she was like, you've always been beautiful. And she was like, yes, like you're even more beautiful now as you've grown up, and you know, you've gone through things and all this stuff. And she was like, Caitlin, she's like, there's something on the inside of you that like glows like so much more than it used to.
For sure.
And they're like, she was like, I'm just like so proud of who you are and stepping into that. So if you need encouragement, if you ever feel like you are stuck in a situation or you're not content with the people around you, like this is example number one, that like you don't need a crap ton of friends. Like you need the people that will build you up, and they will come into your life whenever you prioritize the Lord first. And he brings that to you. Okay, I think I'm gonna go like two different directions. One is like, what have you found in like building friendships up? It doesn't even have to just be like me. Building friendships up, but then also like how like I think it's really important to talk about like how to deal with like conflict in a friendship. So I think we'll do that one second. But first off, for you, like what have you found in like being a friend and building other people up and all that?
For me, and like a lot of this really does have to do like from our friendship, and like obviously I know that everyone's different, but like a lot of the qualities I look for in a friend, like you are like that person for me. And so obviously like I'm a very loyal person, like, and it bugs me, which I know people are raised different, I know people are taught different things, but it bothers me when people are disloyal to you in a friendship. And so I feel like in building friendships up, like just kind of finding that trust and like finding those people who you really can trust, and you can say something to when they won't repeat it, and it'll go through the circle of people and friends and just get twisted and everything. And so that is like probably like my number one thing. It's just loyalty and trust. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it goes down to like, even I realized now, like mom was talking to me the other day because we're also in a season where a bunch of people are dating, a bunch of people are, and it's like, it's, you know, it's just a weird season to go through.
Yeah.
And we've both always been very much like not just like dating people. Like we don't have the time for that. Truly, like if like you're important, you're gonna be in my life, then like you're in it.
Yeah.
And I was even telling her the other day, I was like, I feel like not even just in friendships, but like in a relationship, I've learned that like it truly, truly, truly comes down to genuine support and genuine connection and genuine loyalty.
Yeah.
And I know that like I feel like I've pulled that like so much from our friendship that I want from like someone who I'll be dating or like get married to one day, or even like even in other friendships I walk into in college and stuff, when I'm figuring out like who I trust and who I want to bring into like my heart. It's really finding the people that will support you despite any argument or conflict.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes there's topics that we don't agree on. And I feel like it's added so much to our friendship because there's like a respect there.
Yeah, for sure.
And that the point of it is you're never going to have someone that you fully agree with absolutely everything, that they don't piss you off. Like if they agree with you on something, then something about their personality is going to annoy you. And that's just how it is. But to find those people that like they're going to support you no matter what, and they're going to be there in like your hardest moments. Like whenever I went through everything I did in the spring, like one of the last days of April, I told my mom, I was like, I can't be alone. I was like, I can't be alone with myself right now. I said, I'll be with Alli. And I went to your house and I would randomly keep my mom updated, or I would just be like sitting in your room with you. And there's something so special. I think about like all the really emotional moments that we've shared, because like those ones aren't replaceable.
Yeah.
Even whenever we were little, we would be like just talking like normal stuff, and then we would get into like the deepest conversations. And we'd be like, how did that even happen? But yeah, I think those are just really important qualities. Aside from that, I want to hear like our differences. How do you like to deal with like conflict?
I mean, like I've said, like I've grown in this also, like as I've grown in like my maturity. Like in the past, I just kind of like, I don't want to like stir the boat, like, or rock the boat. Like I don't want to, if someone does something, like give it a few days, and if it bothers me, like I'll touch on it, whatever.
Yeah.
But like recently, like if something's bothering me, like I'm gonna say something about it, because nothing can get resolved if you don't say anything about it. And I know that's so easy to say, but like honestly, it's so important to like apply that to your life. Like there have been so many situations where I'm like, I text a person, because I mean, best case scenario is like face-to-face communication, because I hate texting, like, and I feel like feelings get misinterpreted and like everything. But honestly, just like facing conflict head on, which I know I don't
It's
always.
scary.
It's so scary.
It really is.
Because like you make up little, at least for me, I make up little stories in my head, like what I think is and how it's going to pan out. And I just being upfront with the person if it really does bother you. Because there are a lot of things that I could be like, hey, like, this bothers me, but I choose to let that slide because I know it really doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But it's like those big situations, I like to kind of face it head on, especially like recently with some friendships. So,
No, yeah, definitely. I agree. I think for me, I was, as someone who's a people pleaser, I was definitely terrified of like conflict.
Yeah.
Like I just really would have rather not have the conversation with the person.
yeah.
But like time and time again, I realized after I usually had people make me do it. I usually had people like our moms would be like, you guys need to call each other.
Yeah.
Or else, because we would just be sitting there and then they're like, you guys need to call each other and like talk.
For sure.
So after a process of people making me do that, I always found something good in the situation after that. If something wasn't fully resolved, because I've had like my past relationship, like conflict comes up and I speak on it and it still wouldn't get fully resolved. And I think that's what gives you your peace.
Yeah.
If you if something truly bothers you, again, people are just going to piss you off in life.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to learn like what to let slide.
Yeah.
And that's definitely
so
a daily decision. You definitely know, if anything, I go to Alli and I'll just look at her and I'll like give her a look and she knows that someone is just like getting under my skin.
For sure.
But that's a fleeting moment. But on the big things, if something's truly important to you, like I really think that you should face it head on and truly share your feelings. But there's also been something really important that I've learned in like putting yourself in that person's shoes as well.
Yeah, that's so good.
And like I know, because I'm the type of person that like if I've come to a conclusion about something, it's because I have this reason, this reason, this reason, and this reason. Like I have a lot of evidence to back it up, and like because I don't want to be right without being able to explain myself right.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, I've realized that that person can have this reason, this reason, this reason, why that's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's definitely been a process of learning like, okay, I'm going to share with you what I think. But also at the same time be like, I understand that that's hurtful. I understand that I had to deal with this the other day. I was like, I understand that this may come off as hurtful and it wasn't delivered the correct way. And I take that. But I also want you to understand that I didn't come to this decision because I just decided it.
Yeah.
It's because of stuff that I've experienced. And if you don't feel peace after a conversation, then it might be time for another one, or it might be time to rethink what's going on. And I hold so dearly, like, I don't think you could go a lot of directions. And I'm not talking about like abusive relationships. Like, I think that's a whole nother conversation. But if there's a relationship and like it's not getting better, like you don't have to just cut them off, but like you can hold them at arm's length.
Yeah.
I feel like we've definitely had our times with that with people.
Yeah.
And I know that most people in my life, because of the community we live in, I'm going to see them again.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk to them again. And possibly like I know that further down the road, like I don't know how I'll be friends with them. There was someone in our life that I thought I would never be friends with again. And now I see them all the time.
Yeah.
But it's just the process of maturing. It's a process of learning who to let into your heart, who to hold at an arm's length. And that's not to say like you don't get to be friends with me. It's to say like I'm here for you, all these things, but I'm not going to sacrifice like my emotions and my time.
Yeah.
To the point where it would hurt me.
For sure.
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I think that's really good. Like just like you said, like finding those people who you really do need to keep like an arm's length. Like not everyone's going to be your best friend. And I had to realize that. Like, that's so not realistic whatsoever. Like, just having those, like, few very best friends. And then, I mean, have all the friends you want. Like, not everyone's going to get you the way someone else does.
Yeah.
It's just, like, figuring out, like, you can have fun with each other, but you don't have to have the same trust and hold them at the same, like, accountability as you would as someone else.
Well, because then it comes down to, again, like, the person that you just by nature, the person that you're going to run to whenever you face like really hard situations is probably the person that knows the most about it, or someone that you talk to a lot or something like that. So I think you really have to take into account who are you letting into your heart? What are the influences that you're letting into your heart?
Yeah.
Because I've caught myself plenty of times, and this is something I still work on. Like, am I going to run to someone that's going to be like, yeah, you're right, they were wrong, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Or am I going to run to someone that's going to let me vent? If I need a solution, they can help give me advice. And if not, like, leave it there. Because usually the people that are like sometimes, like, you are like my rock, like, but sometimes I'll have other people that probably would take it too far, and it circles. And being a female, like, girls are literally so incredible to me. Like, we've both grown up very girl personalities, but girls talk.
Yeah.
And they did in high school. They definitely didn't. They did in middle school, and I know they will in college.
Yeah.
Probably for always. But yeah, I really just think it comes down to letting the Lord bring people into your life.
Yeah.
And some of them you're supposed to counsel, and some of them it's both ways. And some of them they're a mentor. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to like add to all that? Or a different topic that maybe you want to touch on that you think is like advice?
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
I guess if we like walk away, okay, two things. What would you tell like our younger selves? Like both that walking into like middle school or high school, or even mid-high school, like, what would you tell us?
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, I need you to go first.
Okay, then I'll go first. I don't really know what I'm going to say. But, I mean, this is just, like, my advice to anyone walking into new situations is, as we've kind of stated, like, this whole episode, is that it's okay to be lonely sometimes. It's okay to sit in the quiet, and it's okay to grieve.
Yeah.
Loss happens, and it hurts really bad. And if you have people in your life that belittle that, like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And your feelings are 100% valid, but your feelings aren't always the truth.
Yeah.
And it's so important to find people that will speak truth into your life and will help you process what's going on. But at the end of it all, you have to be, I've learned that to be successful, you have to know what you stand for.
Yeah.
And you have to know who you are as a person. Because then you can selflessly support other people.
Well, that's so fun. I got something while you're talking.
Okay, good.
I feel like just learning like when to let people go, and like friendships and like situations, like, or feelings that you have like towards a situation, like knowing that like, yes, it's okay to feel them in that moment, but it's not okay to hold on to them forever. And I think that's been a big thing, like my whole high school experience, like situations with dance and with friends, like it's okay to feel stuff in the moment, but it's also wonderful to let things go. Because, like, we're called to, like, love one another, like, love your enemies, like, and that's so hard for me because, like, so much of the time I'm like, oh, that person, like, hurt me. Like, I don't, there's no, like, reason to be nice to them. And
right.
I feel like my sister, Emery, like, she's so good at holding me accountable in those things, like, always.
Emery will tell us when to be nice to someone, because sometimes we get just a little too bitter.
And like it's annoying at times, like, because and that's like in our like earthly nature, like, oh, this is fun to talk about someone like this, like, and you can find like, and I know it's bad, but like you can find common ground, like, in saying things about someone else, like, and talking with someone else and gossiping, like, and I feel like my sister is really good at telling me like when enough is enough and when to look for the good in people and to when to let situations go. Because, like, hurt people. Like, in situations, like, it's so easy to just look like, oh, yeah, this person hurt me. Like, it's the end of the world. But also, like, what happened to that person that led them to hurting you?
To treat people the way that they do.
Exactly. So it's just, like, treating people with kindness and just learning when to let situations go or when to know when to walk away from a friendship. So that's what I feel like would have been good to know.
Yeah.
In the past.
Definitely. It's just the process of, I mean, it's all just such a process, and it's okay to give yourself a break. Because at the same time, if we had never experienced all those things or acted the way that we did, we would still be, I think, great people.
Yeah.
But not the people that we are today. And I think it all circles back to the Lord brings peace and reason out of everything that happens. He brings purpose into the peace. And another thing I thought of, I have to say this before we are done, because I thought of it while you were talking. There's such a peace in letting things go.
Yeah.
And it's really like kind of restating what you said. But like, whenever you can, from the bottom of your heart, forgive the people that hurt you. And there's going to be people that come to your mind immediately. And there's going to be people that you really have to dig for.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us just try to shove it down. But whenever you can, from the bottom of your heart, forgive the people that have hurt you, it is an overwhelming peace.
For sure.
And it's not even just like yes, like a spiritual peace. Like, no, like it's a physical and mental peace. Like whenever I went through that in the summer, and I literally listed off with Kevin, he was on a couple episodes ago. Whenever I listed off with Kevin, every single person who has hurt me, whether it be like a huge thing or super minuscule, my life has changed. I gave so much of my anxiety to the Lord, and like I haven't had a panic attack in like how long ago was March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. I mean, about 8 months ago. And that might not sound like a big deal.
No, it's a big deal.
But to someone who was in my life 8 months ago, I was having them, if not every week, every other week. And there is truly a peace that can come over you, and that takes time. It really does.
For sure.
But there will be grace and blessings upon you once you're able to relinquish the weight of other people. Because it's not you forgiving someone is not necessarily you like helping them, because they might not ever know that.
Yeah.
But it's a weight that gets taken off of your shoulders, because the most strength comes from the Lord, and He can take that and He can work through them with that. But if you don't release that off of your chest, you're not going to be able to go for everything that is planned for you.
No.
But yeah, so I mean, I feel we definitely covered a lot.
Yeah.
But
I could talk forever with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, the hours and hours of FaceTime calls, even whenever we were like 12 years old. It's important to find your Alli.
And your Kaylin.
I know that we won't be going to college together. Most likely our lives will look very different. But I have full confidence that like you were the sister that I never got. You know? So yeah. I mean, if anyone wants to keep up with Alli, I guess like your Instagram or something like that. But I'm just like Alli.
I'm just more Alli Stewart.
Yep. Yeah. And you can probably find her on my page.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, thanks everyone for tuning in. It was a super great episode. I'm really glad you got to listen to us. And this is honestly us like after getting a Dr. Pepper from.
No, it isn't.
Like we talked about this like in the car. So this is really just like a true friendship, and you can really find those people if you just give it to the Lord. But yeah, thanks guys.